when these measures are no longer needed. Until then, however, we must ensure that all our people receive adequate support. We look ahead to a better future. I have faith in the strength and the resilience of ordinary South Africans who have proven time and time again throughout our history that they can rise to any challenge that is presented to our country. We shall recover. We shall overcome.
On a wonderful, wonderful evening, welcome one, welcome all here on your favorite program, Sankofa. Looking backwards at the future, having conversations with real people, discussing real issues. We as African children beginning to rewrite our African narrative. I am excited again tonight that I have a guest for you, a brilliant young man who is actually working in the space of gender-based violence. Our women have seen a great movement and a migration from the rural women that we had to the Soweto days and the mining days, the women who would be sitting in the homes, in the hostels, when husbands are working there and there, to the 80s and 90s when many of our women started actually moving into the corporate space. Year 2000 and beyond sees our women now becoming professionals, earning high-end jobs and etc. And in this migration of women's development, it has not gone without challenges, particularly in the line of women abuse and gender-based violence. Maybe for one reason or the other, the modern man is not yet fully equipped, fully educated, fully prepared, as it were, to be dealing with the different type of woman who is now living in the 21st century. And with me today I have Pacho. Is it Pancho or Pacho?
It's Pacho.
Pacho.
Yes. And
all the way from KwaZulu-Natal, originally from Swaziland. And he's here to be taking us through some of the programs that he's doing and his views as far as women's organizations are concerned. What is of interest to me is to find a young man who is actually heading a conversation on women and gender-based violent issues. And a few weeks ago, quite interesting, I had another young man also, Palane, Palane from Hammarsdale, who also is running and heading another women's organization. Maybe I should make a plan and the two of you can start meeting together and putting your efforts together. But anyway, just tell us, who is Pacho and what brings this passion and having this conversation around women's issues?
Well, Pacho, it's a new organization.
So your real name is?
My real name is July.
July?
Yes.
January, February, March, April, May, July.
Yes.
July is my birth month.
It's your birth month.
Yes, it was my birthday a week ago, I think on the 6th of July, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in June.
June?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all kinds of babies here. All right, take us through. Pacho is the organization?
Yes.
All right. Isibongo ngubani?
Isibongo Maziya.
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 Maziya kagoduka. Usibeko. Okay. Nice to see you. What brings you, what occupies you to run this program for women?
First of all, it's a privilege for me to be sitting in this chair. You know, it's not an easy thing, or maybe. Okay. Yeah. I think maybe let me start by unpacking what Pacho is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, Pacho it's an arts organization actually. We are on the art space, but then we are working with artists. We are working with young people. We are working with older people. But now the challenge is some of them, they've got challenges back home, which then they affect their craft in the art space, you know. So And then as we are working with them, some of them will tell you, hey, I've got this challenge which I don't know where I can present. I'm abused in this kind.
These are artists.
Yes, these
who
are
are
artists
also having a problem of abuse.
which are also having a problem, because most of the time artists, they are going through a lot. There's a lot happening in the arts space. So some of them, they are depressed.
Okay.
But now they've got a status.
Status in the community.
Yes. So sometimes it's very hard for them to say, hey, I've got this challenge. Yeah, well, because the whole world will know.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Their profiles would be affected.
Yes, will be affected. Yeah,
so what do you do? You record artists, you do plays, you do storytelling, or you do arts and theater? What exactly? How
yes,
do you
we do theater. We manage artists. We do music. And then we are working on starting a big arts center in Mpumalanga, whereby young people will be trained in the different arts activities, in acting, in music, in your model, and so forth.
Okay, but what is the content? What is the content of your organization? What exactly drives that organization, your Pancho organization?
What
are the key objectives? What are you doing there?
The key objectives is actually to want to see the African child growing in whatever way, because we are running from, because we know most of the time when you are at school, you are told to work hard, to become a doctor, to be a teacher, to be a whatever. But now there are a lot of challenges at school. Some of them, they are artists by birth. Now, who is taking care of them? Because you find that after finishing school, then they are facing a lot of challenges. But then there is an artist who is neglected at the same time. Yeah. So that's what is driving us to say, okay, let's bring together these young people to say each and everyone should at least try to achieve whatever.
So if I'm following correctly, so what you do, you have a pool of professional artists that you're working with.
Yes.
Then you are using them to, or we are working together with them to develop the younger, develop the younger children.
The younger children.
But to stick to your main purpose in terms of the women, I want to see where women feature in that whole program. I know you're talking artists, but talking both male and female.
Yes.
But I want you maybe to zoom in and say, in what way are you particularly assisting the women artists who are within your space? Because it's difficult enough to be an artist.
Yes.
But I think to become a woman artist, it's a totally different ball game altogether. It must be more difficult. Imagine spending hours on end, you're driving around the country with a performing band. What happens to your family? What happens to your husband? What happens to your children? I've played in that space for some time, so I could understand from my joyous days when a girl gets pregnant or she has children and stuff like that, how that would actually affect in terms of performance. So I'm trying to zoom you to help me to zoom in into your particular, because it's quite unique that you're actually managing artists. I want to hear, how do you work around the women who, particularly the girl child who is an artist in your organization?
Yeah. Okay. The girl child, they are facing a lot of challenges in terms of the upbringing, the what is happening around them in the society. You know, now I'll make an example. Maybe let's say we are having a performance. There is a theater play that you are performing. So then you find that some of these children, you can see there's something that is bothering them, which will affect
their performance.
Now, when you try to find out what exactly is disturbing them, you find that she's been abused or she's going through an abuse. So that's what then made us to say, okay, yes, we are working with artists. We are a production company, but now let's bring these issues of gender-based violence, because it's affecting even our craft. Yes, more especially the girl child.
That's quite interesting. But just take us through some of the stuff that you do. I hear you are a production company. Some of the productions that you do. Is it dance? Is it drumming? Is it music? Is it singing? What type of genres are you expanding yourselves into?
Yes, we are more on theater.
Theater?
Yes, we are more on theater. But then, you know, theater is has got a lot of aspects around it. You know, there's dance in theater. There's music in theater. So it's collaborating a lot of activities around it.
Who could have been some of your main influencers in terms of you moving into this kind of business? It's not a walk in the park that you wake up in the morning and you want to manage artists and you want to run a production company and etc. Who could have been some of your influencers who could have paved the way for you? Some of the people that you look up to in terms of developing this theater business?
We have worked with one of the big art center in KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban specifically. So they are the one who are.
That's a playhouse, or
it's an art center.
Art center.
Yes, more like it's an art school.
Art school.
Yes, it's an art school. Yeah. So they are the ones who are actually helping us in developing these young kids. Yes, because it's actually not easy. It's very difficult.
Take us through some of the plays that they could have done, like on a normal theme. What sort of a play would you say you want to stage? And I want to hear the lessons that you want to communicate between the artists themselves and the audience out there. What is the content? What is the content of your playwright, the content of your conversations and your theatrical work that you're doing there?
Yeah, in most cases, it depends on what is happening in the society in that particular time. Yeah.
Right now we're dealing with COVID.
We're dealing with COVID.
Have you come up with a play for COVID?
Yeah. So we are working on plays that will...
with social distancing, of course.
Obviously, with social distancing. So we're working on plays which will talk about COVID-19. Yeah, but how maybe we can best work around it, because it's affecting everyone. Yeah, everyone is stressed. Yeah. So now, which brings in the gender-based violence issue. There are plays which specifically are talking about gender-based violence. Okay. Yes.
So you use basically art form as a way of communicating information.
Yes.
With your communities there.
With the community.
What has been the response? Just on top of your head, what has been the response of the communities? Are you in rural communities, urban communities, townships? Where is your audience? Where is your audience that is consuming your product?
For now, it's the township, but our main aim is to move to the rural areas, because that's where there are a lot of talents which are not known, and they don't even know where to start. Yeah, well. So now we are focusing on moving to that space to say, okay, let's go to the rural areas and see what we can bring out from those young artists there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are quite excited to be having Utatu Maziya ukagoduka lapha uMaziya usibeko, the name of July, all the way from Mpumalanga. As an artist, he's working together with professional artists and also building young artists in the line of using theater as a form of communicating current issues with the community, be it gender-based violence, be it problems of diseases for corona and other political issues. Actually, art has remained as the platform of conversation between us, between the artists and the greater community there. And when we come back on top of the break, I want him to take us through maybe at more intense level as to how, in particular, are they running some of this theater and acts that they're doing, the kind of artists that they're working with, and maybe what is it they want to achieve in their organization, in this Pacho organization, which is actually based here in South Africa, in the Mpumalanga area in KwaZulu-Natal, where they're basically looking at sending the information to the community on gender-based violence. I'm sitting with July Maziya here in the studio. We'll be back right after the break as we continue the conversation.
Hello. Being a legal practitioner in South Africa in these challenging times demands lawyers that will help clients beyond legal issues. The ever-changing demands in commerce and tourism require lawyers who have sound and clear business and commercial knowledge. And that's where MB Chavangu Incorporated comes in. Our business, mining, tourism, health, labor, and economic knowledge encapsulated with law and litigation experience gives us an advantage in the legal sphere. Our experience in assisting businesses, government, and various industries with their needs puts us amongst the many progressive and striving law firms in South Africa. Now, to contact our attorneys for assistance with any of the mentioned fields and others, please call us on 012-341-4187 or send us an email on admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated, where problems meet solutions.
God is so amazing.
Feel the heat.
The Bible says that through his death on the cross, we are now reconciled with our Father.
Forgive and you shall be forgiven.
So wherever God takes us, we're just excited about it.
As a child of God, where you are, you must have an hour of prayer.
Feel the excitement.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. I believe that God is working right now.
Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat.
You said you love me. I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, you don't! Get out of my way! Get out!
That is an abomination.
Oh, the love you promised me.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yeah?
Feel the excitement.
You don't know how I've been longing for this.
Feel the heat with StarSat.
On your program, Sankofa, and I just want to remind you we have a good lineup waiting for you as of this coming weekend into early next week. And I can almost announce in advance that the King, Bongane, will be in the studio with us on Sunday, taking us through again the issues of installations of African kings. On Monday, we'll redo the show we're supposed to do with King Mlocho, which got messed up. We managed to reconfirm him. He'll be coming up into the station. And on Wednesday, I may just surprise you with one big guest who is just about to confirm to come and have a conversation with us. But for tonight, we have Samkelo July Maziya in the studio with us, who is taking us through his organization called Pancho, yeah? Pacho, yes. Which is an organization looking at then protecting the rights of artists, particularly the girl child and the female artists. Over to you, sir. Take us through the entire Pacho organization. What is it? When was it registered? What is it doing? How does it recruit? How does it write its plays? How does it perform them? Who sponsors it? A whole block of questions for you. Maybe just introduce us to your organization in full.
Yes. Okay. Maybe to start with is to say Pacho.
What does it represent, Pacho? It's just a name.
It's just a name, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it would be Pan-African.
No. Yeah,
it's just Pacho.
Yeah, it's just Pacho.
Okay.
It's just a story for another day.
How that name came about?
Yes, yeah, which we can talk about, later. Yeah. So the main focus is obviously the young people. Now we have programs. Number one, where we are training them in makeup to become makeup artists. You know, when there is a production, they require makeup artists. No, makeup is not only for beauty, but there is a lot which is happening under
production.
Yes, in makeup. So makeup artists, they are trained. So now we want to take through the program to the young kids to say, this is another opportunity which maybe you didn't know. Now, this is an opportunity for you to say, okay.
So like creating kind of employment right there.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Because what is good about it is that you can even be self-employed. Because actually that's what we are doing. Because our programs, it's for self-employment. If you are an artist, you are self-employed. Yes.
So you do the makeup artists, and who else?
We do the makeup artist, then we do acting.
Acting.
Yes. Though acting from theater, now we are introducing film. Because those are two different things. Yeah, but we want to have a base of a theater. Yes, before maybe we introduce them to film. Yes. And then we're also focusing on modeling.
Modeling.
Yes, in modeling.
Fashion.
Yeah, your fashion, your beauty. Yes. So that's also on our program. So for now, we are focusing on these three.
It's makeup, theater and film, and then modeling.
Yes, and then modeling. For now, we are focusing on them. Then we will introduce maybe some other programs as time goes on, because we cannot take everything at once.
Okay.
Yes.
Who are your funders? Where do you get your money from? Everyone is struggling to get funding for these programs. How are you keeping yourselves? How are you sustaining your business?
Yeah, that's a very difficult one. To be honest, we don't have funders yet. So it's one of the big challenges that we are facing, because most people in the communities, they don't afford. If you say each maybe artist contribute how much, they don't afford. Okay. So which now gives us a very tough time to say, where do we get maybe money to support this initiative? So we're still struggling in that regard.
So what are you using? Using tents, using caravans, using cars, community halls, or public arenas? How are you running these programs?
Yeah, we're using schools. So we go to a certain school and negotiate for a space to say, okay, in this weekend, can you please maybe have a 5-hour program?
Okay.
Yeah, so in that way, you are able to bring something. Because we cannot wait and say you are waiting for funding. Yeah, whatever is going to come, it will find us going.
Okay. So in terms of a cast, when you are taking a play on the road, how big is your cast?
It depends on the play.
Okay.
Actually, yes. So you can have a cast of 3.
3 people.
You can have a cast of 1, 20 or 50.
In your own view, how has the community been responding? What is their response? I'll ask again. How has the community been responding to your initiatives? Because it's one thing to have an artist standing on stage. It's another thing you as a production manager standing on another stage. It's another thing to have the audience standing on the other side. And as you are watching the relationship between the 3 energy levels, what do you think your project is achieving?
Yeah, in terms of the community, they are responding well. Besides the challenges, the response is quite well, because most of them, they do want to partake and achieve. So I can really say that the response is quite well. Yes.
So your plays are written, they are copywritten, they are registered. I'm trying to get
plays, they are written. Yeah, we do have writers who are writing the plays, so they write them.
Have you attempted to enter into any competitions locally and internationally to showcase your talent around the world?
Not yet. Okay. For now, the focus is on maybe having a base first. Yes,
because why I'm saying that, because of the diversity and the advancement of technology that we have, and you have people right now who are in Europe, who are in America and beyond, who strongly want to get attached and connected to the African ground and African soil.
Yes.
And this goes into the entire artistry space. So that if you can set up maybe like a Facebook page or a YouTube account, when you are doing your training, other people from around the world can also plug in and they can pay school fees to be part of the class, though they are not there physically.
Yes.
But virtually, you can actually even use that also as a platform to reach out and put your footprint on the international market. I mean, there are accounts where YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, where basically your product can begin to have that international footprint while you are still doing your local things, but you can begin to have an attraction across a whole vast space of an audience, both locally and internationally. What was your play? Was that in your pipeline?
Yes, it is on a pipeline, because more especially during these times, there is less meetings. So most people, they are more on the internet. So that's where maybe we need to shift our focus to say, okay, let's also introduce some online classes, yes, which we haven't started yet for now.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's quite interesting. So you have lots of music in your theater, I can tell. So do you also train band members and stuff to play instruments and stuff like that? I'm just thinking ahead, because when I watched Mbogeni Ngema, for example, when he did Sarafina, big play that actually took over the whole of African continent and by storm to announce the issues around apartheid and etc. Mbongeni Ngema, whom I know personally also, and his great passion in that. Gibson Kente, for example, the man, long history, even may her soul rest in peace, Uma Makasomisi, who passed away a few days ago. Great theater woman. I'm even looking at more modern upcoming young men right now, like one Norman, Mukoli Norman. I'm looking at Bosello Make and many others who are in this space. And the question is, maybe you need to start looking at how do you network yourself to creating that kind of a network which will allow you to develop and grow your business into the space of networking with more senior, seasoned, people.
Yes.
And possibly you may end up with the Department of Arts and Culture and other organizations up there who actually have an interest in terms of you driving your product range.
Yes. Yeah, I think what we will be trying to do is to do collaborations, because you cannot do something big alone, So obviously you need people who can help you to say, okay, this is the right way. Okay, this is how you could do this so that it can be successful. So you can only achieve that with collaborations. So the names you are listing here, yes, some of them we are still trying to find a way to reach them, because it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy.
It cannot be easy, but at the same time it cannot be difficult, because if you are able to harvest your content to a certain portal where it is easily communicable and can be spread around, if you put like a YouTube thing or a Facebook thing that goes viral, without you sending the video directly to the person, but most likely those who are in your industry who have an interest in what you're doing. Like when I'm scrolling on my Facebook page, on my internet, the things that are of interest to me, I stop and I watch. So if I see someone holding a trumpet, I stop, because I play trumpet. I see someone playing a mbira or something, I stop. Because those are the things that are close to me. So I'm just imagining that if you could maybe take up some of your products. Now it looks like this show is going to turn out now into a consulting session. As me now kicking into my small business development program, and I could maybe you can take some notes from what I'm saying and see how best you can maybe convert some of this information into developing yourself. So it would need you to sit around with your group together and do a small little sort of, number one, it is the issue of setting up an internet-based training program which can be watched around. You can also learn from them while they're learning from you. So imagine you link up with a dance school in Kenya, a dance school in Uganda, a dance school in New York City, a dance school in Moscow. And you guys are in a network of interacting and collaborating. There's lots of notes that are being shared there. Secondly, is to develop small little 3-4 minute skits. I'm looking at Basket Mouth in Nigeria. I'm looking at Kasimi in Uganda. I'm looking at Emanuela, those small little 2 minutes, 3 minutes little skits, which actually have millions of hits, so that if the storyline is good enough, it can actually carry itself to the bigger market. So maybe you want to take some of the plays that you're doing, compress them nicely into small little programs, act them out, and then harvest that content, good quality, good HD quality, package them properly, and then throw them up on the market and see if people around you, without you, and above you, and all around the world can actually develop an interest in what you're doing, if that makes sense to you.
It does make sense, a lot of sense. And I think it's something we need to look into, to say how do we develop ourselves to the bigger space.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have Mr. Maziya here, July Maziya from Pacho organization, developing young people, having a great interest in terms of sharing the current message and information with the greater community through theater, music. They do artists, they work with artists in terms of makeups. They also take them through theater issues. They're starting small in terms of a production company into TV and acting, and ultimately they take all these plays and they go back into the community and they educate the community. So politics, economics, social development, health, and other issues that are critical to the community, the arm of art constantly remains as the communication channel that can actually be used in educating the community. And we are so privileged today to see a young man, fine young man, who has decided to put his foot into the deeper space, because entertainment and communication remain chief influencers of what the African child is doing in the 21st century. Social media and TV is infested with lots of wrong information that is polluting and confusing our young people. And to have young people now taking the reins, taking the championing this cause, I'm quite humbled and I'm quite honored. We'll be back after the break again, and we'll begin to hear some of the plans that he has for expanding and growing his organization towards the bigger space of Africa. Don't go away. We'll be back right after the break.
The day will come when these measures are no longer needed. Until then, however, we must ensure that all our people receive adequate support. We look ahead to a better future. I have faith in the strength and the resilience of ordinary South Africans who have proven time and time again throughout our history that they can rise to any challenge that is presented to our country. We shall recover. We shall overcome.
Hello. Being a legal practitioner in South Africa in these challenging times demands lawyers that will help clients beyond legal issues. The ever-changing demands in commerce and tourism require lawyers who have sound and clear business and commercial knowledge, and that's where MB Chabangu Incorporated comes in. Our business, mining, tourism, health, labor, and economic knowledge encapsulated with law and litigation experience gives us an advantage in the legal sphere. Our experience in assisting businesses, government, and various industries with their needs puts us amongst the many progressive and striving law firms in South Africa. Now, to contact our attorneys for assistance with any of the mentioned fields and others, please call us on 012-341-4187 or send us an email on admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated, where problems meet solutions.
God is so amazing.
Feel the heat.
The Bible says that through his death on the cross, we are now reconciled with our Father.
Forgive and you shall be forgiven.
So wherever God takes us, we're just excited about it.
As a child of God, where you are, you must have an hour of prayer.
Feel the excitement.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. I believe that God is working right now.
Feel the heat with StarSat.
Welcome back again. Welcome one, welcome all here on your program Sankofa, where we're having conversations around the African continent, talking to real people, sharing with us their greater plans as we are rebuilding Africa, using arts and craft and using music and human expression as a form of sending information to the greater community. And with us, we have Maziya himself, July Maziya, who's in the studio here taking us through his organization and what he's doing to develop, to grow, to train, and take the message of the greater African children to the communities at large. You were still relating to us, Pacho, and what you're doing as Pacho. I want you to stretch it further, some of the partners that you have on the platform, and who are they and how are you working together?
Yeah, we do have some partners which we are working with. So right now we have a relationship with one organization in Pretoria. Mm-hmm. So we are crafting a program which will specifically for artists in the gender-based violence space, whereby they can be able to talk freely. Yes. So we'll be working with other productions companies to say, let's bring this together and see if we cannot move forward. Now, in terms of stretching out, we do have some organization in Mozambique where we want to collaborate in doing some theater shows.
In Mozambique?
In Mozambique, yes, with some theater shows. So why maybe I started in Mozambique is because maybe I've got a bigger interest with Mozambique. Yeah, they've got a lot of artists who are very, very, very much rich in terms of content. Yes. So now I've been there several times. I've watched a lot of plays there. So now we are trying to build something that will at least collaborate with different other African countries. So for a start, we're starting in Mozambique, and in other countries, we will reach them.
Okay. In terms of language, how are you going to do it? Mozambique is Portuguese and stuff, and a bit of Tsonga, and how are you going to bridge the language barrier?
The language barrier is quite a challenge. But as an artist, you have to work around. You have to work around your way. So they are learning, we are learning. So whatever way of communication we use, but at the end of the day, we're going to work together and have something concrete.
Wow. So that's Mozambique. So right now you're situated where, in Nelspruit or in KwaZulu-Natal?
In Secunda, in Mpumalanga. Yes, Secunda.
Secunda?
Basically in Leslie. Secunda.
Leslie?
Yes.
I did something in Leslie some years ago with Ntate Sihlali Mafika. Right at the bottom of the N17, there's a cave.
Okay.
Big cave. We did a show there, actually, music show, with Sly Mazinyane, Prince Lingwase, and Nqobile Sibeko, and myself, and other artists. We actually had a beautiful, beautiful jazz in the cave sort of thing. Okay. There's a beautiful place. You must visit that place.
Yeah.
You must visit that place. Quite an inspirational space in Leslie. And in terms of the corporate, anything you've done in the corporate space? In terms of approaching businesses and to perform like on their stages and share the messages that they want. We know that the August month, for example, is a women's month. June month is a youth month.
Yes.
With 16 days of non-violence in December and etc. What are the programs that you've lined up to meet up these government projects and this government timetable that is already available?
Yes, so fortunately we do have some few companies which we are trying to attract with, maybe to say, let's have something together to teach the society about maybe your company. Yeah, because, maybe I cannot mention company's name, but there are some companies we are trying to work with them to say, this is your product. So the community needs to know your product, the advantages, the disadvantages on how maybe they can access your products. So in terms of your Women Month, your Youth Month, that's always on the pipeline because it's too obvious.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's quite interesting. And you being a Swazi originally, I would want to hear from you what sort of wealth are you tapping into the greater Swazi cultural space, which influences your interpretation of the arts form and etc. I know there are lots of festivities that happen in Swaziland around the royal crawl, lots of festivities around the calendar of the king himself, as he celebrates his future, the whole history and his background together with the nation. What sort of information are you tapping into the common cultural space, and how are you packaging that to fit up with your artistry?
I think that's where we are going, actually, to say the young generation, there is a lot maybe of history they need to learn. There is a lot of cultural activities they need to understand. Taking for example the ceremony of Umhlanga. So a lot of maybe young maidens, they don't even understand the meaning of umhlanga. Why are they even going there? Some they just go for holiday. Some they go there to meet new friends. You know, so now with what we are doing as an arts organization, now those are the things we want to say, okay, how can you maybe bring it to the art space and take it back to the society to say, okay, umhlanga, what is the meaning of
maybe
umhlanga?
For the sake of those who might not know, around the continent of Africa, what is umhlanga? What is umhlanga? The reeds. What is umhlanga according to you?
The reason why I'm laughing is because some of this history, we lack knowledge. Yabo. So that is why I took it upon myself to say, okay, let us bring it now back, because now we are too modern. So we need to bring it back, to bring the older generation to say, okay, this is what umhlanga is. So to answer your question, maybe I couldn't have an understanding myself what's the meaning of umhlanga. I know there is a reed dance along these months. Maidens, they go there and cut umhlanga, but then what does it mean? So
that would be quite interesting, because as I'm listening to you, I'm wondering how the world would respond if you can take the reed dance as a play to the international market, and then look at various elements of celebrating umhlanga, what it represents, what it means, who participates in it, and allow the world outside there to experience Nguni tradition, Nguni custom, Nguni ritual, Nguni festivity within the greater space of the international community. Maybe again, when the young people of your caliber really want to make an impact in the community, my advice would be not just always looking for contemporary kind of issues which are topical, important as that is, but sometimes you might also to look back into the past and find out some of these cultural expressions and how they can pen themselves out into place, and then repackage these things, and then approach the international community with brand new products that celebrate the African knowledge, African culture, and honestly done by an African, for Africans, to Africans around the world.
I think we are going to look into it, and as I was saying before, it's one of the privileges to be here, because you are one person I can say I'm looking up to in terms of knowledge. There is a lot that I'm learning already, you know. So most of the things you say we are learning. So taking back to this one of umhlanga. So a few weeks ago I was speaking to the King Bungane. So he mentioned something very interesting about umhlanga, which needs to be tapped in to say, what can we do to educate the young generation about it? So we also have Lusegwane, we also have Ingwala, of which all of those cultural activities, they need someone to tap in to say, okay, this is exactly what it represents as a Swazi.
Have you been to any of these ceremonies as a young man?
No. I've been to umhlanga just to watch.
To watch?
Yeah.
You've not been there yet? We're busy having a small little discussion here on some of the Swazi traditional dress. I lived there for some few years. I think from 1995, 96. 95, 96, 97, 98. I think I left there around 99, 2000. So I spent quite some time in Swaziland and attended lots of those ceremonies, and I had lots of cultural learning that happened in that country. Eswatini, Labo, what I mean, Nabonsibande, Bokoche. Yeah, it was quite an interesting space. When we come back just after the break, we will hear the young man taking us through finally his greater plan. There's a young man here, and I will start just asking him haphazard questions around the issue of women and gender-based violence. And let's pick up a young man here who is also going to become a prospective father if he is not already. And what sort of husband, what sort of a man does he want to be? And what type of women is he looking into, and what sort of qualities, developmental qualities, sharing, social development issues that he thinks he can also contribute towards the construction of a positive society. Don't go away. I'll be right back after the break. Your host, Maponga J, here, your program, Sankofa. Our guest, July Maziya, just after the break.
Feel the heat.
Hold on. To make it through this journey alive, you're gonna need someone to teach you the ninja way.
Don't just stand there, kill someone!
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat. Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful!
This is exactly what I was looking for.
DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat. Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
Welcome back, Maponga J on your program Sankofa here in conversation with July Maziya, all the way from Mpumalanga, Leslie Sekunda here in Johannesburg, in the greater South Africa, in Mpumalanga to be more precise, who is running an organization for training young artists and in the line of music, makeup and dance and theater, with a small little outfit also in terms of cameras and the movie industry. But for this particular segment, I would want to pick his mind and pick his brains around the issue of women abuse. Why do you think men are abusing women?
Yeah, there's a lot of things around there. You know, I think we've lost the balance between men and women. Now, we are more on saying, I am me, I am better than you, because you are a female, you know. So, and then you find that some of us men, we tend to own. Now we think we are owning my partner. So in that way, I'm going to control her, where she goes. I have to find out why is she going there. And then when she's doing something, maybe I think it's against my will, then I start to be tough on her. Because the sad part is that someone who is abusing a woman, they first study that person, the weaknesses of your partner, so that whenever you are abusing her, there is always something that will say she's at fault. She's the one who is on the wrong side, not me.
Maybe the second phrase of that, it's not only one-sided. There are also women who are abusing men. Can you go there also?
Yeah, there are women who
there are men who are being beaten by their wives.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, not only physical abuse, there's also economic abuse, there's also sexual abuse, there's psychological abuse, which is not only one way. What's your comment what can you say about women who also abuse their men?
They are more on the psychological abuse.
And physical.
Yes.
And physical, all inclusive. I even don't know a policeman who is being beaten by his wife. The whole policeman.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. But again, the sad part about us men, we don't want to speak out. Actually, we are afraid.
Who do you tell? Let's be honest. It's one thing to sound nice on TV.
Yeah.
Okay? You are a man, like I am. And your wife beats you up. Who do you tell that my wife is beating me up and they will believe you?
Yeah, if I can maybe take us back to the older days. Back home we have what we call lisango.
Lisango?
Yes, lisango.
This was now.
That's where young men are being groomed. Now, whenever you are having a problem in your household, you know where to go.
Somewhere.
Yeah, we're somewhere. And report to the elders. So there
is a system in Swazi where actually young men can access Lisango, which is a group of elders, and you discuss your problem.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so interesting.
So you can be able to report your problems, to say, okay, my wife is abusing me in this manner. So them as old people, they will know what to do. They will bring you together without maybe making a scene, because in nowadays, there's a lot that is happening. So it's very difficult for the young generation to know where to go, because even that crawl I'm talking about, which is Lisang, is no longer there. So it becomes now a challenge, because if you go maybe to the police station, you'll be labeled as a weak man. How can you be beaten by a wife?
Wow.
So now, what does that does to your inner peace?
Your advice to the young ladies out there, as far as abuse is concerned, if you had a chance of speaking to a whole group of young women, what message would you be giving them?
I think I can just tell them one thing: respect, which maybe they have lost.
Respect who?
Respecting each other, more especially your partner, because I think there is this thing about being equal. So that's how we live now. So they know we are equal, so you cannot tell me anything. But now, by nature.
So you feel equality has lost respect?
Exactly.
The whole concept of equality has lost respect. How so?
Most of these young women, they tend to take everything to to the larger community, to the social media, to say, hey, I've got this challenge with my boyfriend. And most of those friends, they will advise to say, okay, this is what you should do, this is what I did. And only to find most of those advices are not proper.
If you had a chance of addressing the young men out there, the young boys, who are the cause and the main problem in the community as far as abuse is concerned, what would be your advice to the African young men in the entire African continent? What do you want to tell the young men of your generation, your type of young men?
Yeah, the young generation, I think we need to know where we stand as a man, because as a man, you are a protector. You protect your sisters, you protect your mothers, you protect everyone you are living with. Now, that's a man. So now, if you are starting to abuse someone of the other gender, then that's where you are losing yourself as a man. So when you're doing that, automatically they are losing respect on you. So now, who started maybe the problem? You find us, it's the man who failed to understand his role as a man.
Good. Yeah. What is your advice to all the churches out there as far as women abuse is concerned? If you had a chance of addressing all the pastors, what would you be telling them?
I think most churches, they lack maybe some programs which are specifically for women and also men, because where they actually come, we see them more on trying to now speak about a challenge that is now emerged. So now there's a lack maybe of programs which maybe will try to avoid some of the problems before happening. So maybe my advice would be, if maybe pastors will try and work together with maybe their congregates in terms of crafting those programs. So to have maybe, let's say, on this day we are having a men's conference. So we are talking as men.
Are you talking about the men's conference, the famous one that is on social media?
Yeah, I mean the real one. So where we were talking about real issues.
Okay.
Now, as men, not maybe as abazalwane. Yeah, well, because there's a lot of things which maybe you are afraid to say because you are wearing the coat of being umzalwane or whatever. So now we need to be sitting down and talk as men of the community.
Another question: if you had a chance of addressing indigenous African leaders, these are the kings, the indunas, and etc., what would be your advice to them?
Traditional leaders, they need to take us back to where we belong. I think I can boldly say, it's now in their hands to bring us back, because they are the very same leaders who know exactly how we should be living. Now,
if you had a chance, my most famous question on the show, if you have not watched the show in the past, tough luck. Here I come. Are you ready? Sit up straight and tighten up your trousers. If you were the president of South Africa. Okay, let me make it better. You are now the president of South Africa.
Okay.
Oh, no, let's make it South Africa. You're the president of South Africa, or you're the president of Africa. What are the three most important things that you would do to make Africa a better place? Number one
is to bring back values. Bring back values
to
the people.
Okay.
Number two is to work around on how to build the society.
Society building?
Yes, in terms of economy. Yeah, how you can help them grow. Now, number three, I would say maybe to help them in understanding the real issues. Now, more especially on the political space. So a lot of things we are missing, which we don't understand. But now, if I was maybe the president, I would maybe have those kinds of programs to say, let people understand the political space.
We would have failed again if we don't ask you one question. How are you keeping yourself healthy away from this COVID-19? What are you doing to keep yourself alive in the midst of this pandemic?
Yeah, I think most of the time I'm indoors.
You're indoors?
Yeah, I'm
You're
indoors.
self-isolated?
Yeah, I am.
For the sake of the young ladies out there, are you married yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. No children yet.
There is one.
There's one child you have out there. Okay, we'll talk about that another day. Your host is Maponga J. My guest is none other than July Maziya, all the way from Mpumalanga. Here discussing on your program Sankofa, looking backwards at the future. Ndini Maponga Joshua chigaramboko garamashamba huda chirana wana wewanji makumbo mwana mwesendewe shano wana chigarama ukimatanda novora chirana wana wewanji tizu wana mshamba ne gore chiramba kusesera mpanango kubawane masha kumagaro Remit ya sose. Until we see you again, it was a pleasure having you on the program. Don't do what I wouldn't do. If you do it better. Bye.